Welcome back, dear listeners, to another powerful episode of Mind Over Masculinity, the podcast where we stop asking men to be bulletproof and start asking what real leadership actually looks like from inside out. I'm your host Avik, and today we are talking to all the smart guys out there, the ones who keep getting promoted, keep fixing the hardest problems, keep being the go to person, and yet feel like they have hit this weird invisible ceiling. So you are not getting fired, but you are not really free either. You are respected, but not truly followed. You are managing, but you do not feel like a leader. So, our guest today has lived that arc at a very high level. So, please welcome Andrew Hinkelman. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Avik. Good to be here.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I'll quickly love to introduce you my guest. So, Andrew is a former CTO with 25 years in the corporate, eight of those in the big chair running engineering orgs. So, he has worked with leaders at companies like AWS, Sony, Airbnb, LinkedIn, Stripe, Coinbase, Reddit, Twitch, TripAdvisor, HelloFresh, and Gilead. So the whole tech Avengers lineup. Yes, right. So then he hit the serious burnout, the classic executive pattern, juggling every ball, stepping in to fix everything, being needed by everyone all the time. So what changed everything was not another framework. It was a full personal and the emotional reset around trust, self leadership, and the human centered leadership. Now, as a certified executive coach, he helps founders, CEOs, and CTOs master the transition from smart manager to actual leader. So, his core mantra is all professional development is really personal improvement. So, today we are going to talk about why so many high performing men stall out at the emotional ceiling, what needs to be rewired on the inside, and how to lead people, not just projects. So, wait, let's get into the discussion. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Avik.
Lovely, lovely. So, Andrew, you have worked with some of the sharpest technical minds in the world. So, why do so many very smart, very capable men hit that invisible ceiling when they move from individual contributor or manager into a senior leadership? What do you say?
It's a great question, Avik, and I would just expand the question a little bit to say that it's not just the people going from individual contributor into management. There are a lot of people that retain a lot of their sort of individual contributor habits as they go deeper and deeper up into management. But if you think about it, we start off learning these core skills, and maybe it's computer science, or it could even be marketing, it could be sales, could be anything. But all of our focus is on building expertise. And then all of a sudden, we need people skills. And whoops, didn't learn those. No one taught us. Everyone expected us just to kind of have them from being human. And it's this weird dichotomy, right? We're people, but so many of us are not good relating to other people. And it's incredibly common.
True. So, like, if a guy is listening right now, thinking that I keep getting feedback like work on communication, be more strategic, build relationships, but nobody tells him how. So, what is the real translation of that feedback underneath the corporate buzzwords?
Yeah, and it can be really frustrating when you hear those,
Mm.
right? Because they're corporate buzzwords. And then if you're in a big company, A lot of times you have an HR team that has some really generic training that seems totally unrelated to your job, especially if you're in technology, right? So it can be really, really frustrating, and when you get that type of feedback over and over again, it's the kind of thing where you have to get really curious about it.
Mm.
So, and you probably experienced this yourself, Avik, where, you know, people might give you feedback or they might suggest areas to improve. And if you don't go after it yourself, no one's going to hold your hand. Say this is where this self-leadership thing comes in. You gotta care about your own personal and professional development.
Mm. Understood. Yeah, that lands because I mean, what sounds like vague feedback is actually a neon sign that says that your brain is not the problem. Your emotional skills and your relationships are the bottlenecks. And I think a lot of men have never been told that so directly, right? So,
That's the other thing. That's the other thing that makes it hard, right? Like everyone, you get feedback like, "Why was that project late?" Or, well, "Why were there so many bugs that got released into production?" You get those kinds of things, right? But no one ever says, "Hey, you need to develop a little bit more empathy." No one gives you that feedback.
uh, true. And you share that your burnout came from trying to keep all the balls in the air and stepping in to fix everything. And that is such a classic male leader pattern. So, how did you recognize that what you were doing was not sustainable and that it was a leadership problem and not just a workload problem?
It's a great question.
Hmm.
And what I really want your listeners to understand is that you can be in different degrees of burnout
Hmm.
and not even know it. Like you might just be tired. You might be feeling a little bit of apathy, or you might just be, it might be Tuesday, Wednesday, you might be wishing it was Friday. But when that happens over weeks and weeks and weeks, and you come into Monday already exhausted, then you're starting to have a real serious problem. And it takes a lot more than a week in Hawaii to undo that. It takes a lot more of a reset. So, you know, what I did was what a lot of guys do, which is like you never ask for help. You never show any vulnerability. Your mantra is like, "I got it." And then it just becomes too much because your ego is pushing you to be in every meeting, to make everything look perfect, keep all the trains running at the same time. And so your ego will just drive you right into the ground if you let it. So, for me, Uh, what wound up happening was I had like a physical injury. I had a back injury that came out of nowhere and was a manifestation of stress and burnout. And that was the thing that finally woke me up to what was going on.
Got it. So, when you coach executives now, how do you help a guy who secretly believes that if I stop being the fixer, the whole thing will fall apart? So, uh, what is the first mindset shift that you try to install?
Well, the very first thing
Mm.
is, and this is even before any emotional intelligence work, the very first thing is to start building self-awareness. And the way that I start to build that with my clients is around what are the things that make you strong day in, day out. Because it's not an accident. You know, a lot of people kind of feel like, well, that day was a good day, or it was a bad day, or I got lucky. A lot of it's not luck. And you know a lot more about yourself, but you just have to bring it to the forefront and be aware of it. Like, hey, look at, I got to go running. So I worked out, right? I'm eating well. I spent some time with my family. All of those things that we tend to give up because we have to work so hard all the time, those are the things that you need to build awareness around. So you should know pretty clearly what you require in order to have an amazing day or to be on your best or to show up ready to lead your team. It's no mystery. There are ingredients. There are things you need to do and not do to be your best each day. And so that's where I start with people.
Got it. And like you say that all professional development at the senior level is actually the personal improvement. So for the classic logical, like engineering trained guy, uh, what does that emotional rewiring actually involve? Like, what internal skills does he have to build um, that were never in the job description?
Well, yeah, no one is really going to tell you that you need to build relationships or how to do it or why it's hard or anything. So, you know, the rewiring part is to transition from expertise and intellectual knowledge into connection.
Correct.
And when if we break down what it means to be able to connect with people, how do you build trust? How do you actually build relationships? It's not that simple for a lot of people. So a lot of times I'll talk to people about, hey, just build a personal relationship with someone, just get to know them. And everyone is so transactional that that seems really, really uncomfortable.
Mhm.
So, it's really going from looking at everything as an expertise problem or a code problem or a technical problem or an architecture or security, going from that to seeing people as humans that need you and that you need.
Yep,
And that's a big shift for most people.
exactly. Very true. Yep. And like if you had to give one starter practice to a CTO or maybe a founder who is listening right now, something you can do this week to lead better before trying to change the team. So then what would that look like in a simple and no fluff way?
The most powerful practice that anyone can use is journaling. And I say that, I'll argue that point with anyone. You can't see what you're thinking or understand the way your mind works or clarify your thoughts without journaling. So, and I'm not even talking about on a computer. I'm saying pen and paper. So I coach a lot of founders, I coach a lot of CTOs, and the people who have to go buy a journal or a notebook because they don't use one are the ones that are the least self-aware. And so what I tell people to do, and anyone can do this, any notebook, dedicate 20 minutes before you start checking email in the morning, find some quiet time and just write down, what do I want? what do I really, really want? And you start making those lists. And the first thing is going to be like, I want more money. I want my company to succeed. I want to be the next Steve Jobs, those kinds of things. But by day 3 or 4, you're going to start realizing that what you really want is to feel strong, to feel effective, to be able to have an impact, to be able to help other people. Those things are going to come up and you need to build awareness around those. And that's why journaling is incredibly powerful.
Mm, exactly. So amazing. And if you have to, I mean, suppose for a man who is afraid that if he softens emotionally, he will lose his edge. So, how do you help him see that human centered leadership can actually increase performance, trust, and impact and not water it down? What he said.
Yeah, I think it's pretty common. And there's a related concern, especially in technology, where people will say, well, you know, I don't want to spend all my time with people or managing people because I don't want to lose my technical edge, right? And what I usually say to people is, okay, don't, right? You know, manage your time, own your calendar so that you have time to experiment. If you want to build something, you want to fool around with, some kind of RAG or LLM or whatever it is, go ahead, do it. Stay technical. But the main question really is, do I have to be an authoritarian? Do I have to yell at people? Do I have to tell them what to do and always give them the answers and stuff? And the truth is that you will eventually see that that does not build a high performing team because your people need to trust you. They need to feel like you care about them, that you want them to improve and to build their own careers, or they're never going to trust you and you're going to wind up with a bunch of people just waiting around for you to tell them what to do. And I can speak to that from personal experience. When you're the one always giving the solutions, always being a hard ass, people are going to get quiet and they're just going to wait for you. And you're going to have a bunch of people that don't have very much autonomy and are not ready to lead their own teams.
Okay. So, and what best advice would be for the listeners today? What do you say?
The best advice I can give people is to start realizing that you yourself, you're the source of the next chapter in your career. So the more that you can do the things that make you happy, you can do the things that help you settle your mind and be able to listen to other people actively without fidgeting, without checking your phone, without being distracted and trying to multitask. The things that you do for yourself are going to manifest over time by building stronger connections at work. And you got to trust it a little bit. Takes a little bit of time, but you can do it early in your career or later. But no matter what, you're either going to burn out or you're going to figure it out.
True. Exactly. Amazing. So, dear listeners, if you are listening to this and you recognize yourself in the fixer, the firefighter, the always on guy, I want you to hear this, that this is nothing wrong with you, but there is something outdated about the version of leadership you were handed. So, if someone wants to connect with you, Andrew, what would be the best medium to connect?
LinkedIn is the best way to connect with me. I'm on there. I'm, I think, probably the only Andrew Hinkelman on there. But if you connect with me, just send a connection request. I'll be happy to talk to you. And there's a link right below my name where you can get on my calendar. And I do this a lot. I just have like a quick intro call, a quick, we can even do a coaching call. I'm happy to coach people for free, that there's no sales involved. It's really just to connect with people.
Got it. So, lovely. Dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the details and the links into the show notes for easy reference. And if this episode spoke to you, share it with the man in your life who is smart, successful on paper, and quietly hitting his own invisible ceiling. So, with this hope, this is the host Avik, and this is Mind Over Masculinity, where we are redefining what it means to for men to lead from the inside out. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.